Good afternoon. It's Sunday, April 20, 23rd of 2022, a day after a celebration of Earth Day. And we have Village Poets of Sunland-Tujunga. Here with me is Alice Perrault, the current Poet Laureate of Sunland-Tujunga. And I'm Maya Trochimczyk, one of the former poets of Sunland-Tujunga who organized these village poet readings. In the past, they were held in person at Bolton Hall Museum in Los Angeles, which is one of the most important historic buildings in the city. However, after the building was shut down, we moved to Zoom. So now we have a blessing of welcoming so many people from different places across the country. So it's a trade-off of in-person readings versus welcoming people from all over the place. So I'm very happy to see you here and welcome you in our reading. And our format is that we start with a couple of open mic poets, and after that I present the featured poet, and then the poet has about 30 minutes, then there's a little discussion and comments, and then we finish up with the rest of the open mic. Since we have, I think, 12 maybe poets, so we have 4 people reading 2 poems each, shorter poems. If it's very long, it could be 1 or maybe half or 1/3, depends how long it is. And after that, we'll be listening to the beautiful insights and poetry of Raphael Block, who lives in Northern California and writes often about nature. So it's a perfect choice for the celebration of Earth Day and our Mother Gaia, the Earth. So welcome, and let's start from the first open mic reader. So who would like to go first? Don't raise your hand because I can't see anything. Just say your name and then I'll say okay. And the rest of you after that need to be tuned out.
Joe, I'll be happy to start.
Joe? Okay,
Yeah.
very good. Let's have Joe to start with, and everybody else, please mute yourself.
Hello, hello. Let's see. I'll give you a second. Well, thank you, everybody. It's really wonderful to be here in this month of April. This first piece I wrote, it was inspired by poet W.S. D. Piero, and it's titled Night's Silence. The silence of night hours is anything but the peaceful quell of blaring day. It's the kindling of flames when all else sleeps. It's the awareness of the air as a pulsing being, filling the ear canal with gentle sounds as it brushes past fine hairs of your lobes. It's memories of morning, flavors of noon that descend like a slide whistle into evening. Even when nothing stirs after bustling traffic subsides over bumpy roads and screaming sirens abate into the calm of darkness, the silence of night hours is anything but the scratching in your head you thought were clawing rodents along the baseboards, while you vanish into a trance and melt into a dream that sings of love's intense resilience, a song that preys on no one and is unconscious of its joy. Oh, thank you for the waving hands. That is probably the only thing I miss about not meeting in person, but this is a wonderful alternative. Now, we had an event in our neighborhood here in Tujunga that was the celebration of 100 years of a cemetery, local cemetery, that has gone through so many ups and downs over the years. And this was written by my next door neighbor, Debbie Padilla. It's to honor the Verdugo Hills Cemetery 100th anniversary, and it's following the years of closure and neglect and regret. After a newly appointed caretaker, Craig Durst led the campaign to restore the paths, cut back the overgrowth, repair the mausoleum, and return sunken grave markers to level with the surface. It's titled, Can You See Me Now? Once I was isolated, beautifully so, flora and fauna moving among the monuments, undisturbed and unprovoked, a beautiful place to rest and comfortable with the natives. Animals, birds, butterflies, and wild things grow. Ah, what a resting place was chosen. Can you see me now? But nature's isolation can have its disfavor too, forgotten as a tiny community grew and became busy with itself. Do souls now here know or care about the misfortune wrought upon us by nature or by mischievous hands? We are now surrounded and at your benevolence to protect us. Can you see me now? My time is past, but has it really now? Once pioneers and dreamers toiled in this rocky soil to make their way, striking a path for a future providence. I desire now and again to have a place in your community, not to be forgotten or maligned, no longer hidden or secreted away for protection. So I want to ask, can you see me now? Can you embrace me again? Can you see my future?
Thank you. All right. What I want to say right now that the loud rock music party has started after the pool was closed for use. So we're going to go back inside. So sorry for the interruption, but it's not sustainable. I don't know if you can hear it, but you can't hear any poems without seeing anything on the screen and hearing anything. It's not a very good reading.
Yeah.
Apologies. So we'll cut out this fragment from the recording. And let's just go back inside and hear from Alice Perrault. So after Alice, I would like to have a guest from outside of our little club here in Village Poets in Sunland-Tujunga. So who would like to read? Or maybe Frank. Frank, you are in Arizona. That's far enough. So we'll have Frank. I swear.
Far enough, huh?
After.
I
So
can go
now,
farther if you want. I can move into New Mexico.
no, it's good enough, I think. So we'll have Frank as a third open mic reader. So now let's hear from Alice Perrault.
Is it okay if I read?
Yeah.
them? Okay. Well, this just came out. I don't know if it's been mailed yet.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's been mailed, yes.
California Quarterly, spring 2022. And I have a poem in it called Green Grass. And it's a good poem for spring, but it's also kind of a love poem. I am still full of the green grass you sowed long ago, green of the past, still green in memory. And I can walk barefoot, and I can stand in the shadow of your trees. Look at me. I love the way you move towards me. Hand me new leaves, guard my rooms, forget old warnings, ancient charms. This rain is the rain that wets my cheeks with more than wet. I cannot cry when I recall your stride, you so tall in doorways, so fast gone. Hello, goodbye. I am still full of a day that trembled, the hour shivering before it gave you up. I stretched time out and left it in a blanket. The sun dried the waterfalls I had to shed because you did not know me. Water running into rivers made to flow to salty oceans. I tumbled down to follow streams of bubbling memory, still so full of dreams, of green. I changed it. Still so full of green. And I just want to read again this poem that I read last night. Thank you. Thank you so much. I read this at the centennial of the Verdugo Hill Cemetery. And when I was first told that I was to read at a cemetery, I was a bit taken aback. But then I found that all the people that were doing this were so full of life and joy. And it was great. And Joe actually dressed up as one of the residents of the cemetery, the first resident, the pastor. And they did skits, and they had these people dressed up from the early 20th century. And it was great. So I wrote this, if I rise up past the sun, I will keep a point down in the green. I will not cast all my anchors up, I will still touch the tiny trees that sway the weeping branches. If I hide behind the moon, dark shadows paint on planets' hills, beam a long ray on moon's quiet, I will still leave my thought, brush the wings of birds in earth flight, form greeting. If I try to fathom space, mark deep traces in the unknown, I will not rise up forever past the fallen friends remaining, loved ones grieving, those caught in earth's endless turning. I will catch the silver of the deep and silent sky. I will bring a treasure home to touch the earth, each eye.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Alice. And now let's hear from Arizona, from Frank Ayosue. Did I say it right or I forgot?
Close enough. Just like
Okay, Frank will be the judge of our annual contest this year. So the deadline is June 30th. Send your poems to our PO box, which is all on our website. And well, we'll see who wins. We already have a fair number of submissions. I'm going to review them and put them together and send anonymous submissions without the authors identifying information to Frank to review. So everybody has a fair chance to win. All right, so let's hear from Frank.
I know how to work that share screen thing, so I can put the text of the poem up. That way you guys can read along if you'd like.
Oh, let me give you the share.
Oh, okay, you got to disable it. Right.
So yeah, okay, so it's multiple participants. So now you can share.
Okay. Okay, can you see it?
We see, yes, we see it.
Okay.
Earth's greatest hits, right?
Right. This
Okay.
is a poem called Earth's Greatest Hits. The mighty sea and the sweet stars lit up in the empty air above, though lovely, have little to do with what is done to me by this world's obscene and all-corrupting love. Upon this earth has been built the stage upon which I strut, semi-somnambulant and benign, upon its imperturbable planks and in its pale, unflattering light. I have been accompanied in the brilliant, disintegrative dance by every bark of beasts and the somber song of all inertia. The tunes that were played before on the great jukebox that the gods have abandoned in the dust of what they are, I have mouthed again. The songs of the moon and the sun, of light upon the cloud, the melodies of my ghosts and the beatings of their drums, the chords of temporality and their insubstantial strums. I've made them all the kingdoms of my hopes. If there is a final night that happens only once, let it reveal the impenetrable and unconsoling certainties to which I have submitted and whose all-obscuring significance my existence has served to verify. When the end arrives and I stoop to pick up the stone on which my name is written, I will bow down and rendezvous with the blessed and exhausted mud and close my mouth around the last lump of never to be breathed again air and remember the never to be heard again sounds. And like the thunder, I will hum. Thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So we would like to have another open mic poet. Maybe Hedy, you are far enough, right? Michigan. Would you like to start with the last open mic before the featured?
I'll be happy to read a poem and from the point of view of a tree. And it's titled, "Or What Does a Tree Know About Aging?" You think me impervious to my surroundings. Little do you know of my inner struggles, anchored deeply in strata, swollen roots protruding, petrified pillows bearing traces of endless processions insects' footprints, antenna probing every crevice, the slightest orifice, a witness to fallen leaves, transparent like lace, skeletal nervures turned into butterflies' wings, decaying flesh, too many skins shed, layers and layers of debris, pelage encrusted inside fissures, muffled voices, instants when time rests, sounds of crackling pine needles under footsteps, resin sticking onto fingers, sighs in stark darkness. Age is often equated with wisdom. I equate it with survival.
Thank you. Okay, that's it. One poem. Yeah.
I can read the one that just came out on California Quarterly if you want.
All right, sure. It'll be very nice.
Just a second. Sorry. Okay, I found it. So the poem is titled Unfurling Seasons. I have never walked over a trail of rose petals, nor rested over a bed scattered with velvety flames of passion. But I wonder whatever happens after such ardent encounters steeped in fragrance. Do couples still long for such fleeting moments once they've stepped out of that petaled Eden? And as years go by, did they learn fall after fall to unfurl each fallen leaf's curl and follow with their fingertips a different path in every branching vein? Could the most beautiful rose encompass as many feelings in its soft, unwrinkled, unscarred petals?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. So now it's time to, I have to change the layout so we have see the speaker as being on the screen at most times. All right. Raphael Block is a poet from Northern California with an extended career and lots of publications and many books. And he would like his poetry to speak for itself, writing about nature, celebrating the earth and all that lives. And I think it'll be the best if we just move directly to Raphael's poetry. Please welcome Raphael Block.
Thank you so much. I'm very happy to be here. And today I'd like to share poems from my newest book, which came out right at the start of the pandemic. So I haven't had, it's called At This Table, and I haven't had much opportunity to share it till now. There are about 120 pages of poems, a few songs at the back. And what I'd like to do is pause after every 4 or 5 poems to hear your responses, if you care to share any, or comments or questions. So I'm hoping you can keep your trigger fingers off the chat, which I find very distracting, though I know it has a purpose. And there'll be lots of space. There'll be 3 spaces for you to participate, creatively or otherwise. So I'll start with a pre-poem in the book that I wrote. It's called This Snail, and it was written a few years before the pandemic, and I'm sure many of us can relate to it now. This snail. Now a window of slowness opens, so the snail can return to itself and its true home. Meeting. Just a few looks and words, feelings travel through air, and our hearts lift or drown in love or love sorrow. All it takes is one strike from the flint to spark each other, for tinder to light a tender rising fire. All it takes is one strike from the flint to spark each other, for tinder to light a tender rising fire. Some poems I've found, thank you, are really like homeopathic or herbal remedies for me. And this is one of them. It's called Clear Silhouettes. Let go the torments of your mind beside a tree, your aches and pains. Embrace it as a friend who gives you ease. Suddenly, double wings flit into the canopy. Its silhouetted leaves leap out, clear as your soul itself. With each breath, the day meets you afresh. With each breath, the day meets you afresh. This next one, Unsung Songs, goes like this. 1,000 branches vault into the bird-bound blue, while feathered darkly on gnarly limbs, my unsung songs roost unseen. I lean closer, closer to hear them croon. Loops of vibrant singing sweep as bright-eyed robin greets each branch and twig before springing nimble. Lilting notes propel crocus shoots past snow and rock, their bulbs surviving mole and worm. Daffodils burst inside and shining chime. Love reels and spirals to my roots, wills me keen my sorrow, moan my pain, woo those hymns snowed under shame. Keen my sorrow, moan my pain, woo those hymns snowed under shame, to take wing in circling flight.
Such a good poem.
Stealing fire. Paper and thin apple twigs catch the first match. Crow fans his wings, cackles and caws, letting everyone know that I've stolen it. I add fatter sticks, but fire won't be rushed. I eye the whispering tongues. Next, some pine and eucalyptus. Welcome heat springs. Then the first log. A mad reel begins as flickering flames spiral, lick and fly. Crow is stoked, laughing with each crackle that wildly leaps and jigs, and once dead ends up like his blackened coat. The fire must be fed, the fire must be fed, Crow taunts. And what of our own starving gods? So this is the first break or pause. And if you are brave enough or willing to share anything, or
do you have any recordings? Because your reading is spectacular, and I would love to have not only the book that it's from, but your voice, which is so unique.
Thank you. Two of my books are free downloads on my site, which is my name, raphaelblock.com. This book, I've been releasing the audio at a gradual pace, because they're often in my monthly Earth Love newsletter. That's now in its 6th year. So there are about 14 or 15 of the audio ones from At This Table on my YouTube site.
Oh, that's great. That you really, the rhythm of your, not only the way you're putting the words together, but the rhythm is really, really good. It's very rare to have this. Of course, I love your English accent too. You know, it's just, you know, that wins me over. You don't have to write a poem to speak. But you know, that aside, that's like a big plus. But that aside, your reading is just magnificent, and the rhythm of the poems just bowls me over. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your kind comments and awareness. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking that you picked the poems of fire to start. So there's 2 poems about fire that's transforming and purifying. So that's really looking forward to more. Let's, I guess, anybody else? Oh, Frank would like to speak.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly with the last statement. You're so articulate and such a sensuous voice, and the way you articulate the language and the pace is so beautifully done. And I compliment you on it. I wanted to ask, that last poem reminded me of Ted Hughes' volume Crow. Were you influenced by that volume in that poem? Is it kind of an homage to Crow by Ted Hughes?
Not consciously. I'm not as familiar as I guess I should be with his work. Of course, I know of his work, and I think
well, there's this whole volume where he has a series of poems, all told, centered around a crow being the kind of the cosmic or consciousness of the persona speaking all the poems. It's really great, and your poem really reminded me of it. So you might want to check that out, because it really had a powerful similarity to that work.
Great, thank you very much.
Oh, Hedy has a comment.
Yes, I second what has been said, you know, in awe, and enjoyed every single poem, every single line, but I'm still impressed with the image of the snail. And I think it's going to stay with me for a very long time. Thank you. And all the minute, like the flint, all these minute, one might say, operations that happen, and you give them life. And the other one where you sang, which is about homeopathy and healing. I mean, here I was entranced. So thank you.
You're very welcome. I can respond if you want to some of those images.
Sure.
I was watching a snail just I think last week. It's been raining, so they've been out, and just watching how its tail, small tail, is sticking out, and the body, and how as it moves along, its shell, its home, which of course is spiral, which is very symbolic for a journey coming inward or outward, whichever way you want to look at it, or both ways.
So about us, how over the past couple of years we really reduced our lives to the essential.
Yeah.
And that is how I saw part of the imagery. And also I was thinking about the protection and the masks, but so much, as you say, the spiral, I mean, it's a brilliant poem. For me, it has impacted me very deeply in more than one way. Thank you.
Well, you know, anytime a poem affects someone else, it's kind of served its purpose. I'm very happy to hear that. Yeah. I'll move on to the next batch unless someone else wants to say something. The next one, we move to the wind element from Fire, Maya. It's called Squall. And it begins with a Wordsworth quote, William Wordsworth. The winds that will be howling at all hours and are upgathered now like sleeping flowers. For this, for everything, we are out of tune. Oak florets like dangling earrings of tiny purple grapes waver in the breeze. They fear we overlook the miracle of their birth and spirit that inhabits them from root to tip. A wave hovers over valleys and redwood ridges. It sounds through the crow's dark calls, crashes on deaf bones. By God, the rocks live more soulfully than we, glorious wavelengths beaming across the cosmos.
Mm-hmm.
The Irish Fiddler, for fiddler Martin Hayes and guitarist Dennis Cahill. His feet beat quarter notes and measures like horses cantering up a bridle way, while his bow points to the mountains, a steady uphill climb along running brooks, heather purple rocks, straggling trees rooted tenaciously. For the descent, the team picks up pace, past scree slopes, green vales, smell of sweet hay, drawing them faster, faster. The fiddler's torso twists and bobs, turning the trot into a gallop. At the sound of swish and swell, the driving guitar picks up the reins. Now the team is free to leave the path, take off beyond the peaks, beyond the clouds. Threaded droplets of sound boundlessly cascade in waterfall bursts until we're taken over that ledge. Then there is no waterfall, no water. We land outdistanced by ourselves.
Mm.
Night. The first line is taken from Edna St. Vincent Millay's sonnet. Night is my sister, and how deep in love, with shadows, clouds, and stars, so deep I am. Though these flaming worlds shine by day, who stops to acclaim their uncanny ways? When the first bat flits with alarming aplomb, announcing that night my sister has come, and the blossoming moon floats into the sky, my sister sets a stage for the cricket tide, the skulking cat, Hecate's owl, a singed moth still searching for the light, a choir of prayers in full flight. Shadows overarch and merge, and though it is chilly, I will gladly tarry with my many-faced sister, night. Takeover. Fog rolls in, cloaking these valleys and hills. It swoops like a cast of vultures who scented the kill. I've grown so tired of this cover story that scrapes by on carrion, my mind's reruns of stale drama clips, my nagging, rotting lists. I need you to take over. I want you to swoop in.
Oh boy.
Yeah, different tone. So I'm going to pause here before the last few, in case anyone wants to share their responses or comments of any kind. This is a good, yes. Cathabella?
Uh-huh.
Right.
Thank you. Thank you. Very, very, very beautiful and lyrical. To me, they all seem like love poems that really speak from your heart for the earth, for the night, for people, for winged things. They all have a soaring quality in the way you speak them, because I know it sounds like that was the way they were born. with a voice. So I really love that you're able to read them to us and to touch our hearts with them.
Thank you. That's very, very kind of you.
Are you reciting those from memory? It seems that you are doing
Yes.
that.
Who's speaking? Sorry.
Alice
Oh,
Perro. I don't have a little tag.
Yeah.
I'm Alice.
I couldn't see for a moment on the screen where the voice was coming from, but yes.
Coming from Maya. Maya and I.
Yeah.
We're Siamese twins in the Zoom.
I know you are.
Siamese, if you please. We are Siamese, if you don't please. Sorry.
Okay.
Yes. Sorry, can you remind me? You were
Oh,
saying.
are you reciting those from memory? It seems
I do my best to learn them by heart. This is a
Beautiful.
wonderful way to combat Alzheimer's, but no, I do it because I believe in poetry as a performance art too, while one is alive at least. And obviously recordings can last and do last much longer. And when you think of people like Edna St. Vincent Millay and Dylan Thomas decades ago, they used to draw huge crowds just for their fantastic recitations.
Yes. Absolutely. I'm totally impressed and amazed. And when I do another Moon Day, I ran a reading for 19 years and we kind of went on hiatus, but perhaps we'll do another Zoom in another few weeks or months, a few months, because you're just absolutely not to be missed. You should be promoted all over the place. It's just unusual. You wait a long time for good poets, you know, and it's great when one comes like that. Thank you. I don't want to stop you. Keep going.
No, you're not stopping. This was designed to be a space for people to share whatever they want to. Yeah.
Okay, I think we're ready for the next installment.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to move on to the last sequence, and then there'll be a space after that. This one's called Heart Thrown. I lost an eye. What a relief. Fungus kept creeping back into my oar, but now no more. I lost a dear friend within 2 weeks. His spirit soars, though his family flounder in their grief. From behind, 2 sharp clawed paws rip open my chest. My life force flees in bloody rivulets. By the banks I sit, an emptied shell. One eye takes in all this terrible magnificence. Fiery leaves swirling in waters which fall and flood beyond my will. Doors flung open to my throne, let in lynx, fox, and you, my friend. This next one, Meeting Light, we made a film of it a year ago, Adam Wilder, who's a filmmaker. It's on my site on the welcome page. There are 2 films. This one's 3.5 minutes short. And there's also a documentary I'm very lucky to have been the subject of, made by a talented young filmmaker that has been selected as a National Geographic short doc. So you can see, and for yourself, you'll hear it now, but you can, if you want to, you can also see how it looks as a film. Meeting Light. Through the windshield, light gleams on the fields. The light green willow leaves running along the creek seem brighter set against the just beginning greening hills, dotted with oaks, cows, sheep, small clumps of shy-hoofed deer, all chomp in well-manured pastures, as I too stand richly fed. Vultures' wings, soundless circles overhead. A perched hawk red-tailed, its haunting call withdrawn, spy smaller prey. Crows rush, gust and clatter onto walnut limbs to cackle and muster. I loom with a hunter, quail with its prey, prattle with companions until our souls are full flush-fleshed. By Walker Creek, 1,000 white woolen eyes crown coyote brush. Dried fennel stalks drop silent seed. Among these wild ones I flourish and breathe under sun, fog, rain sway. Coiling bends round the broadening bay, whose undulating ripples peep between, lending ease and grace against the pine-clad ridges as the scudding sun plays upon my skin into unseen depths. Sprawled on the verge, a car-killed deer awaits its airborne team with sharpened smell to pick it clean. All seeps, sings and bounds in me. All seeps, sings and bounds in me. Is it the light or the light that I am soon to leave? On bowed knees rest old trees sinking into softened sod. The turn of seasons watch. Their path is slowly set, while mine is filled with urgency to laud and praise, give back one speck, one jot of all you pour into these marrowed bones, to give back one speck, one jot of all you pour into these marrowed bones.
Wow.
Every April in my front and backyard, the South African daisies come up, and I named this one a sight divine. A sea of sunny faces greets me. They gently wave. Familiar friends rise once again for the pleasure of murmuring winged creatures. Each petal a ray like you or me, each golden pollen center a heart like mine or yours, arrayed in unpretentious glory, unafraid, open to breeze, rain, the mower's blade. They'll spring again to heap their blessings on another timeless day. I'd like to share just one more recent poem, and it's called I Touch My Childhood Sense. I touch my childhood sense, a sage leaf to roll and stuff into an acorn we'd hollow out by scooping into its soft flesh. Close to its base we'd pierce a hole to put a stem and make a smoker's pipe. A wind-snapped pine branch, I hold that sappy split near to my nose, and I'm back in the hills of Haifa, the uncharted territory of my boyhood, sailing pine bark in puddles, and the little old man with missing teeth, carrying a framework of sticks on his back, bearing bagel rings, pretzels, sunflower seeds, and cellophane, whom we'd see on rare trips to town. I am that acorn now, and the sage and pine, I'm still drenched in their scents, and the long gone bagel man, perhaps from Poland or Russia, perhaps a concentration camp. Who makes the time to ask as we buy their goods and hurry away? And I'd like to end with the first poem of the book, This Table it's called, which gave the book its title, At This Table, and it's also the name of the documentary, At This Table. How amazing is this day? The spider's web casts its shadow play. Lilies sing in sprays. Redwoods and broad oaks hold sway. Ripe berries for beaks and lips. Patches of white lace, all set on this delicate plate. We at your table, but guests. Thank you so much.
Oh, I wouldn't mind you reading that one again. I got distracted, Raphael. Can you read
I can do
one
it
more
again,
time?
sure.
Oh,
It's
Yeah,
a
read it
short
again.
one.
It's short.
So
Read it again. It's short. Yeah,
Yes,
read it
okay.
again.
This table. How amazing is this day? The spider casts its shadow play. Lilies sing in sprays. Redwoods and broad oaks hold sway. Ripe berries for lips and beaks. Patches of white lace, all set on this delicate plate. We at your table, but guests.
All right. Thank you so very much.
Thank
All right.
you.
Thanks for comments and
Yeah,
remarks. I just have one comment about the pine bark boat on a paddle or on a stream. I used to play with my brother. You cut out the little boats because the pine bark is floating, right? It's very
Yeah.
light and you can make it shape and make a little sail. I just
Yeah.
loved it. So it's amazing. We come from so far apart and we share this childhood memory.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful of how we connect in so many different ways. And I
It
just
is.
love this final poem, this note of admiration and I don't know how to say it, ascension or something, and farewell and welcome to this life where we are just guests and we just come and enjoy and partake and move on with next generations coming in after us. So it's really, really beautiful, very philosophical and very profound. So it's good to have your books and read them and ponder them, but also beautiful to have your voice and your presence. So thank you so very much.
Thank you for being such wonderful listeners. Really appreciate it. Chris, did you have your hand up?
I did. I just wanted to say that Raphael and I were in a poetry group together, and I've been out for a while, but it's really nice to see him. And I wanted to let you know that I look forward to your newsletter and the poem that you offer at that time. And so I was really glad to be here today. I don't always get a chance to do this kind of thing. So it's really lovely to hear from you, Raphael.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you very much.
Okay, Joe would like to comment. Joe?
I just want to say, Raphael, there's a feeling of optimism even when you're talking about things that are sorrow-based. So there's always like a light, and I don't know how to describe it, as a sense of familiarity or almost a nostalgic feeling in the way you weave words together. Makes it very easy to listen to. I particularly like your homage to the Irish fiddler and guitar player. I spent many an hour in pubs banging around on a boron, and I would always see the way the exuberant fiddle players, you're right in describing their torsos, the way they would get into it. And I think the line may have had something to do with droplets of music emerging into a waterfall, cascading waterfall leading us to an edge. As the music would swell, it is quite a bit what it felt like. So thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Yeah, that was my experience too. Yeah.
Very good. Any more comments? I think Beverly has a raised hand. Oh, Beverly, we need to unmute you. Okay. Unmute. Yeah, you're okay.
Hi, I was asking to go first, but That's the reason why that's sitting up there. So
Oh, okay. So you'll go on the first open mic reader
Yeah.
after we finish the conversation. Sorry, as I
Raphael
said,
is
initially I
wonderful.
couldn't see anything on the screen, just some
That's okay.
little shadows.
It's
So
all right.
now it's better when we're inside, and the kids can play and listen to the rock music and scream in a pool. So it's all good. All right. Any more comments we have right
Hedy,
now?
Hedy, unmute yourself.
I did.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good.
One of the things when you started with the two series, the fire and the water, I was wondering. It made me think a lot of the Poetics of Space by Bachelard, and I was like wondering if you have written on the other elements also, some series.
I'm sure I have, but not. I don't consciously say, "Okay, I'm going to write about this element next." It either happens or it doesn't really. I mean, there's so many poems in this book that I think it's bound to cover all four elements in different poems.
No, it's wonderfully woven, and as everybody has said, I mean, there's nothing more to add. But another thing that I'd like to say in the same line that Maya just said, when you described the sesame cellar and all of these images, it made me think of Egypt and Lebanon, where I'm from.
Yeah.
And so it like, you did it in a masterly way. Of course, you brought in all that depth of past tragedies that are underlying, and it was very powerful, extremely powerful. Thank you very much for all the different perspectives and the depth of your poetry. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. One more round of applause for Raphael Block, the featured poet of April 24th reading. Thank you. And now let's move on to our open mic, since Beverly had her hand up from the beginning and never went. So Beverly M. Collins now will be next open mic reader.
Hello, Raphael. I really wanted to say that was beautiful. That was a really wonderful presentation. I loved every bit of it. But for mine, I'm going to start with my poem that appears in the recent California Quarterly, and it's called The Seeker. Just like me, you have hunger, an unchained belief that chances wait in the quiet just below the surface. When will your masked impulses find the door? This stare, loud as unanswered questions can be, dismantles without touch. I too have lost my way. I sang out of tune to someone else's favorite song and begged for a key with my look. I've dreamt that the fences I've built around myself will become broken wires one can fall through without a memory of the cage or all the cuts. I have one other one for you. Both of mine are very short. Thank you so much. The next one is from Poetry for Ukraine. And this is a fundraiser book for the crisis in Ukraine. And my poem that they selected is called Endangered. Oh, the spin of razor beliefs that deeply cut away the happiness that could have made long, sweet memories, stood like a steel monkey trapped in the path of compressor wheels that screamed in the creed of red. Then searched like a lighthouse without a lamp, knew darkness just as a wingless bird in a tiger pit learns terror. Endangered like a secret whispered, whose quiet exploded and became the center of attention, gets unchained. This is you, me, us, yours, and ours. That's Poetry for Ukraine. It's available on Amazon. Thank you so much, guys. Good to see you guys again.
Yeah, so great to have you back with us. Wonderful. I would like to ask Casabella Wilson with Rick. Casabella, are you ready? If you're here still, I know you often have to cut out early. So Casabella would be the next open mic reader.
I will ask him.
Okay, so you ask Rick. Okay. So well, let's wait then and start over with maybe. Oh, is Rick here? Yes?
Yeah, he's coming.
Okay.
Give me
Very good.
a couple of minutes. I'll say I have a couple of poems. One of them was published in the San Diego Quarterly a few years ago, and the second one is one that I just wrote, and I think it will feel good to read that. And Rick will be playing. What will you play?
Oh, it's my second oldest flute. I have replicas of older flutes, but this is actually made in about 1760. So 260 years old.
Wow.
It's one of the earliest flutes with more than one key. They're little baby keys. You can see. And this was made about 5 years after the earliest evidence we have of keyed flutes, multi-keyed flutes.
You might have seen, Maya, that we just got back from zooming to Switzerland.
Oh, wow.
And Rick gave a talk in Basel at 19th Century Flute Conference.
Oh,
This is good.
Yeah, so it was
Never been
beautiful.
a conference before on that.
Beautiful. This is called Survivors. Grown back after the fire, the lushness. Parrots fly in flocks, carrying the language of water. It sounds heavy, loud, and green. Just a scrap of bare branch lingers unhealed in this forest. We bow at one another from a distance of centuries, as if to acknowledge who we were and how we mostly endure. And this one, it's a Tonka sequence. Thank you. What is the weight of 10,000 lives? The grieving, how can this be carried in a heart? May you savor coming home, light the fire, the scent of cake, the taste of chocolate. I'll bring you on a walk to the sea. A soft kiss carries you back from the other side. Return to say what you were up dreaming or waking. Lullaby, your time still tender, unfolding without mourning, open-winged.
Thank you very much. Very lovely and historic flute and inspired poetry. Thank you, Casabella and Rick. It was great having you here. So now I think we have, thank you. We have two more poets from our Village Poets group. That is Dorothy Skiles and Marlene Heath. So Dorothy, would you like to read next?
She must be muted.
Yes, she's muted. Okay, unmute. You need to be unmuted, Dorothy.
Outside the bay window, flower beds brim with mid-spring's delights. Hydrangeas dressed in brilliant blue violet, their leaves catching a light breeze. Pendulum clock marks seconds, minutes, hours as spring days turn into summer. And this one, I know I pulled this out more than once, but it is April after all. Oh, April, I awaken to a sunny morn, yet how fickle you can be. Your mood changes so dramatically. A clap of thunder, a flash of lightning. I grab my raincoat umbrella tucked under my arm. By late afternoon, the rain stops, sunlight again, all is bright. Raindrops glisten among the branches and budded leaves of the white birch trees. Oh, April, what will tomorrow bring? Why, of course, another lovely, lovely day of spring.
Thank you very much, Dorothy. Marlene, are you ready to read? Can't hear her and see her, so maybe not.
Oh, maybe she can't, maybe she's muted.
She is muted, but I don't know.
Well, she might be speaking.
Oh, but asking to unmute and she's not unmuting, and I can't see her on the screen either.
Unmute, Marlene. Marlene.
Hello?
Oh,
Yeah.
well, we can't hear her, so
Yeah, I can hear you.
wait. We have Pat Larson. Pat, are you like to read now?
I would enjoy that very much. Thank you, Maya. In keeping with the theme, I don't often, I write mostly about my family, but I found 2 short poems about nature. The first one is Musings of a Saturday Morning. The grass laughs as I kneel at my task. Each blade rustles to its neighbor, foolish woman. Out at 8 to beat the undefeated sun, the crows have taken notice, loud caws to convince me that it is hopeless. The gnats celebrate the scent of sweat with music in my ear, dancing at my eye. I rip and pull, exult in each small victory of unearthed root, but I am armed with only a single spade and determination. The grass will prevail.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, this is here. Here in the land of seasons, of sameness with only slight, subtle shifts in comfort, I wonder if the flowers can sense the coming of spring. The camellias are winter bloom, backstroke in the red clay dish, keeping their color for more than a week. The gifted Easter lilies, banished outdoors for their funereal smell, soldier on, ignoring neglect like a bothersome child. Around the corner, in soft shades ineffable, iris faces shine. Our guests on St. Patrick's Day brought white freesias, perfect in a blue-green vase set on a clover tablecloth. Here at Easter, they smile still, chant life is too beautiful now to let go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Very nice. All right. So we have any more poets? Jen Nogale, do you like to read? Okay. Oh, we can't hear you. No sound yet. No.
I didn't
there you go.
I didn't come prepared to read. I thought I was just coming to listen to Raphael. I only knew that he was on the program. So.
Oh, okay.
But thank you for
letting
me listen. I didn't realize there would be all these other wonderful poets too. So it's been a really wonderful program. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So I think we've covered everybody. So I'm always the last one. Let's see if Marlene is coming back. No. So
I
maybe.
could read one.
Oh, there you are. There's another poet. I missed you, sorry.
Carol,
Yeah,
Carol.
I've been mighty
Carol,
quiet.
yeah.
Yes,
Okay,
Carol.
yes.
I
Okay.
happened to read a couple last night, so I'll read one of them. I think I'll read this one. The Buddha sits. The handmade Buddha sits, ceramic, laughing, atop a stack of books. He leans back, toes curled like peonies. A smile as wide as emptiness mirrors his shiny brow, closed crescent eyes. He sits with no one noticing in front of the window, the maple leaves playing catch with an autumn wind. In the midst of this life and all its circumstance, I want to dive deep into that open grin, to float in the starry, wordless sky, grounded in big-bellied abandon and tickly-toed delight.
Very nice.
Thank you.
Oh, okay. So you're just reading one. Yes. Okay. Okay. Very good. So I'll be the last reader. I was editing the spring 2022 California Quarterly, and I have 2 poems there, but I already read them here. And another thing I wanted to mention is here is the book I published a while ago called La Rainy Bread, More Poems from Exile. And this book has poems about memories of my maternal aunts and grandmothers and people who were affected by the war, deported, starving, dying in camps. So these are the people from Eastern Poland. The family was around Baranowice, which is halfway down between Vilnius and Minsk. And now it's Belarus, but used to be Poland. Anyway, so one of these poems, the one I mentioned in this book, it's called Peeling the Potatoes, was picked by Mary Evans Picture Gallery, and they have pictures and poems gallery now with thousands of poems picked to fit the image. So if you write ekphrastic poetry, you may want to visit Mary Evans. It's just a very nice website in England. They have thousands of images, artwork, as well as photographs. And they paired my Peeling the Potatoes poem about my grandmother peeling the potatoes and teaching me the family history about those who were exiled and they had to eat potato peels because there was no food for them out there in those Gulag camps. So this poem I will not read because I just wanted to mention the Mary Evans Picture Gallery as a submission site, as well as California Quarterly. I encourage all poems to submit. But during the ceremony for Alice, where we had the passing the roller ceremony, and Alice became officially crowned with laurel wreaths, really beautiful ones that Marlene and her family made. It was just such a wonderful event. I brought for decoration a big bouquet of silk flowers with artichoke leaves, because I went to get laurel leaves for bouquets for poets to my friend's garden, and laurel is actually the bay leaf, so it's quite a useful spice, but the laurels are too big to put on your head because the branches are kind of huge and ungainly, but the artichoke branches and leaves are enormous, and you know how small is an artichoke and how little of it we actually eat. So there is an artichoke of a poem. Writing poetry is like growing artichokes. From a seed of invention, the code for the unknown sprouts an immense plant with spreading silvery green fronds of tender beauty. Poem after poem, you spin out and admire, so proud of your way with words, constructing verbal edifices with arduous labor. The heart comes at the end, a flower bud no larger than your palm that does not even open before you pick it to steam and taste bits of elegance and sophistication. High above your silvery green tower of gigantic, soft and spiky leaves, a paradox of a plant really, its purpose beyond comprehension, grows just one artichoke, just one golden bud of a poem, where each word is in its place, each insight keen and so accurate It pierces the reader's mind with knowing. You discard abundant leaves for compost to nourish next year's crop of just one gourmet treat, an artichoke of a poem, blooming from so many ornamental words you arrange day after day until the mystery reveals itself with its inevitable, simple grace. So that was an artichoke of a poem. And now, of course, the spring is time to clean up, spring cleaning. So there is a brand new spring cleaning poem. This morning, I declawed the cactus, cut the spikes from tips of agave leaves so they do not scratch children looking for chocolate eggs on Easter. I cleaned the pantry, sorted out one bookshelf and my past, carefully discarding useless fears and fading disappointments. I filled the crystal bird dish with water for finches, filled my heart with affection and delight. I arranged lilacs and daffodils into fragrant bouquets, green with camellia leaves and palm fronds left over from singing Hosanna in a church. I arranged my thoughts into the singular clarity of purpose, tranquil, like the Pacific at sunset, with tenderness of immense strength. Now, I only have to breathe in noon light to set all pains, anger, and resentment on fire, expel the ashes in a shower of sparks with diamond rays so brilliant they make me into a supernova, a revelation, cosmic, bright. Thank you, thank you. So that was my last poem and the closing poem for the reading. We had an offer to have an in-person reading actually for Memorial Weekend at the Veterans Hall. My next door neighbor is involved with veterans, and I forgot what the proper name of it is, but we could have some memorial poems in person, but we also will do a Zoom, so I'll keep you posted about where the next Zoom will be and who will be the feature. I don't plan so far ahead these days. We used to plan at least 6 months in advance because of the in-person meetings and logistics of getting people together, and we do just a kind of a month-to-month surprise. Let's see who is the next reader. So I would like to thank you all very much for your amazing poetry. What a wonderful afternoon, so inspired, so full of delight.
Raphael. Thank you, Raphael.
Thank you, Raphael. Absolutely.
Thank you, Raphael.
Yes, of course. Now a featured poet really set a tone, and it was very hard to keep up with him, but still we come down from the cloud very inspired and very touched and very moved by the spectacular gift of poetry and the talent for words. The singing poem reminded me of an idea that when we sing the melody, the tune doesn't just come and disappear in the air. It goes out through the whole universe. That's why singing is so important. And it puts everything in order. When you sing harmoniously and beautifully, the whole universe resonates in peace. And that's a beautiful image to end after such a beautiful reading. So thank you all for attending, and see you next time.
Thank you all. Goodbye.
Thank you,
Take care.
bye.
Raphael, that was
Thank you.
amazing.
Yeah, thank
Bye,
you. Thank you.
guys. Good seeing you.
Yeah, we all be
Thank you.
going to his website and looking at his documentaries and getting his books.
Thank you, Maya. Bye-bye.
Yeah, thank you so very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everybody. Bye.